All right, let's get right into it. Today we're going to talk about something that so many of us feel, but maybe can't quite put a name to. It's this weird puzzle where you're making more money than ever, but you feel more broke than ever. It's a trap, and understanding it is going to make so many things just click.
Does this sentence just hit you right in the gut? You look at your pay stubs, you add up the numbers, and it looks good. It looks great, even. But when you look at your bank account at the end of the month, the story is completely different. If that sounds familiar, trust me, you are in the right place, and you are not crazy.
So let's paint a picture. I bet you know this couple. Their combined income is fantastic, 133 grand a year, puts them in the top quarter of all households. He's in IT, she's in marketing. They did everything you're supposed to do, right? They went to college, got good jobs, bought a nice house. But what's the reality? They are running on fumes, completely paycheck to paycheck. And when the car breaks down, bam, it goes straight onto a credit card. There's just no wiggle room.
And that leads to this giant, frustrating question. You followed the rules. You checked all the boxes. So why does it feel like you're treading water? Or worse, sinking? This feeling isn't a sign that you failed. It's a sign that you're caught in a system, a trap that was built around you. And we're about to show you how it works.
So this thing actually has a name. It's called the two-income trap. The term comes from a book written way back in 2003 by Elizabeth Warren, who at the time was a law professor at Harvard specializing in bankruptcy. She and her daughters studied over 2,000 families who had gone bankrupt to figure out what was really going on.
And what they found was, well, it was completely shocking and goes against everything we assume about money. They discovered that having two people working didn't create a safety net. It actually made families more vulnerable and more likely to end up in financial ruin. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. More work, more income, more risk? How on earth is that possible?
Well, to really get it, we have to jump in a time machine, because the financial world our parents grew up in is fundamentally different from the one we live in today.
Okay, this right here explains so much. Back in the 70s, a typical middle-class family could live pretty comfortably on one salary. They had margin, they could save. But here's the most important part. They had a backup plan. If the main breadwinner lost their job, the other parent could go out and get one. That was their financial insurance policy. Fast forward to today, two incomes isn't a bonus, it's the baseline. Both people are working flat out, operating at 100% capacity just to afford a middle-class life. Their backup plan? It's already been deployed. They've traded that old-school resilience for a new-school fragility.
So you have to be asking, if millions of families added a whole second income, where did all that extra money go? I mean, it's a ton of cash. Well, it didn't go into yachts and fancy vacations. It got completely eaten up.
And here's where it went. These are the fixed, non-negotiable costs of just being middle class. Even after you adjust for inflation, housing costs have doubled, healthcare has gone up by a staggering 600%, and college tuition, my gosh, it's over 1,200% more expensive. That second salary didn't make families wealthy, it was basically a survival mechanism to keep up with these exploding costs.
You can think of it like this. It created a massive bidding war. When most families had one income, they were all bidding for houses in good school districts with that one income. But then, suddenly, millions of families showed up to the auction with two incomes. What happens? They all start outbidding each other, and the price of those houses skyrockets. The second income didn't help anyone get ahead. It just raised the ticket price for everyone to get in the game.
Okay, now for the part that might really blow your mind. Let's look at the actual math of a second salary, because it's like a magic trick where the money just disappears.
So let's say the second person goes to work and makes a solid $50,000 a year. Great, but hold on. Because that income is stacked on top of the first, it gets taxed at a higher rate. So, poof, there goes 18 grand. You're down to $32,000. Got a kid? Average childcare costs can easily take another 15 grand. Now we're at $17,000. You need a second car to get to that second job, plus gas and insurance, say goodbye to another $8,000. And finally, you have what I call the exhaustion tax. You're both working, you're tired, so you're eating out more, getting more delivery. That costs money. Let's call it another $7,000.
So after all that, what is left from that $50,000 salary? $2,000 for an entire year of working. That breaks down to about $8 a day. You're sitting in traffic, dealing with a boss, being away from your family for $8 a day. When you see the math laid out, it is just absolutely staggering.
And here's where the trap snaps shut. It's psychological. Because when you go to the bank for a mortgage, they don't look at that tiny $2,000 net. They look at the big $50,000 gross. So you get approved for a mortgage that requires both of you to work. You take on car payments that need both paychecks. You've now engineered a life that has zero margin for error.
You are locked in. And this is the absolute perfect analogy for it. Your family's finances are like an engine running without any oil. It seems fine, it's making noise, it's moving forward, but the moment something goes wrong, a single piece of grit gets in the system, a job loss, an illness, the whole thing seizes up and it all breaks at once.
Okay, that's the trap. It's a little bleak, I know. So, how do you escape? Well, it's not about one person quitting their job. It's about a radical shift in your mindset. It's about building what we'll call a one-income foundation.
So here's the playbook. It's 3 simple but powerful steps. Step 1, you intentionally base all your big fixed costs, your mortgage, your car payments, on what one of you makes. Not both, just one. Step 2, that entire second paycheck, it becomes your freedom fund. It doesn't go to a bigger house or a fancier car. 100% of it goes to building wealth, paying off all your debt, building a massive emergency fund, and then investing. And that leads to step 3. You reclaim your flexibility. Every single dollar you save and invest from that second income is literally buying you options, buying you resilience, buying you freedom.
Now, let's be really clear. This is hard. This means buying a smaller house than the bank says you can afford. It means driving your car for 10 years instead of 3. It means you have to actively fight the urge to keep up with your 2-income spending friends and neighbors. It is a very real trade-off. You're sacrificing some short-term lifestyle upgrades for deep, profound, long-term security.
And that's what this all comes down to, really. The trap tricks us into thinking the goal is always more income, a higher salary, a bigger number. But that's not the real prize. The real goal is flexibility. The real goal is having options. It's the freedom to know that if one of you loses a job, or wants to switch careers, or needs to stay home with a sick kid, the whole world doesn't fall apart. That is what real wealth feels like. And escaping the trap is how you get it back.